Hey there, welcome back to High Infidelity, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to channel for more spicy stories. Now, let's get into today's story video. Married 15 years, wife cheated on me 13 years ago. Sometime last year, my wife and I had been drunk and I was in a terrible mood. I asked her some things that a spouse doesn't generally feel the need to ask. I don't recall the facts, but I remember the sensation. It was the first time I genuinely contemplated that she may cheat on me. A few disagreements, and many months later she eventually tells me the truth. She had been with this person twice and opted not to inform me since it would not have been beneficial for our family. She informed me around 10 weeks ago. I'm still simply astonished that I have lived this life with someone I thought I knew and could trust. I feel a general dread when I get up, knowing that a big chunk of my day at work will be spent thinking about it. I have a fantastic life, have a lovely family, and I still have love for my wife. I feel like she has stolen something away from me and will keep it as long as I'm with her. I don't know how to go ahead. I don't want to forgive her. I want her having to feel broken as I do. We have certainly spent time talking about it, and she has made it plain that she wants to be together and is prepared to work for it. I'm not ready to quit up, but I don't see much light at the end of the tunnel. Have any of you went through anything like this / felt like this and it worked out? How did you manage it? Please be okay with the nasty women hating trash. I've said / thought enough for all of us already. Story 2. I, 29 male, need to know if there's a way to save our marriage after my wife, 29 female, has cheated on me 5 times in our 8 years of being married. This, like many other postings here, is going to be somewhat lengthy, so please bear with me. If you're going to remark, I just ask that you read it all, since it's all significant. I'll start by saying that I'm completely aware that my obsessive acts and behavior aren't acceptable or justifiable in light of what my wife has done. We've been married for 8 years and together for 12. We don't have children and will not have them. I'm snipped, if that counts. Before getting married, I had entirely trusted my then girlfriend and fiancé. She had a very toxic and unstable friend F, who would verbally attack her and was creating an emotional catastrophe for both of us, even after we left college and lived away from her for a long period before and soon after we married. My wife, perhaps to protect her friend, would never tell me what they talked / argued about, and it was about this time that I began to grow suspicious, not of adultery, but of not knowing what was going on. It was the year 2012. I placed a spy application on her laptop in order to see the emails she sent to this acquaintance. They mentioned covert chats my wife was having with a colleague M. In those communications, I couldn't tell what these discussions were about, but it felt important, and she hadn't informed me about it. When I confronted my wife, she acknowledged for the first time to adultery with a different employee M. From a former job, she was confiding and seeking emotional support from the current person. It occurred a year before I discovered these emails, less than a year after we were married, when we were still in college. She was going to tell me someday, blah blah, and I think she meant it. I told her we could be together, but I pledged to her that if it occurred again, I would divorce her. The poisonous acquaintance had been removed from our life by the time I found out, but I now had a far greater cause to distrust my wife. You'll notice a repeating trend in this post. We're terrible at communicating and discussing our concerns. The incident was never brought up again. We were both sad that week, but we finally simply went on without really dealing with it. It's still 2012, and I haven't stopped spying on her phone, laptop, and internet activities since then, which is how I've learned about every event. I believe the second time was a few months later. I can't recall the precise moment since I've tried to forget about it all. I managed to catch her phone unattended, glanced at it, and discovered she was online conversing with several males on Kik. I just had about 30 seconds with it before she returned from the other room, but it was quite clear what was going on. I didn't say anything at the time, and I believe I only brought it up once in an argument. Otherwise, we never discussed it. The third time was the following year. Snooping again, I discovered she was with a colleague M. She denied doing anything physical, but who knows? We argued about it. She vowed she never intended to harm me and would seek to regain my trust and so on. I clearly did not keep my previous commitment, and the issue is never addressed again. The fourth time is when things start to get hairy. Last January-February, there were 4 years between events. I've been spying on her the whole time because, despite the fact that nothing has happened in a long time, I still have zero faith in her. We took one of those questionnaires early last year to see what you and your spouse are both into, And it turns out we're both into swinging or including other people in delicious irony. We had a little conversation about it and left it at we'll check into it later. She took it upon herself to demonstrate initiative by initiating steamy discussions with TWO employee Sam without informing me. My spy game is still going strong, so I find out about it. We argue, and she claims she was just feeling out the swinging thing and gathering ideas from these men and that nothing occurred. I let it go, and we didn't bring it up again. As I write this, I realize how much of a I've been this whole time. The sixth occurrence occurred nearly precisely a year ago. Things have become tricky at this point, since we've been in sleeping with other people, both together and separately, all with mutual knowledge and permission, with the exception of one occurrence. We had agreed that we may speak to other individuals alone as long as we informed each other and the other person approved. I chanced to check through her Kick Talks one night and saw she was chatting to a man from one of our chat groups but hadn't informed me about it. We had a little disagreement, and she invited me to check through her text to see what was going on. I may have been preoccupied by the quarrel because I missed the fact that she had erased the discussion from the list before handing me her phone. There were others to look at as well. I recognized this a few weeks later but never mentioned anything. We decided to take a break from swinging poly after this bout. My stooping hasn't ended, and I'm still worried and mistrust. I've just begun to get that sensation again, and I've been monitoring her activities numerous times a day instead of once every couple of weeks, which I fully realize is not any better. It became apparent last week when I concealed one of our security cameras in the bedroom to monitor her after I got out of bed. She sleeps in much later on the weekends. I thought she may be shooting photographs in the bedroom while I was away. Therefore, I wanted to know whether this was the case. I did a terrible job of concealing it, and she discovered it after a few hours. I was watching when she noticed it. She said nothing. I pulled it down while she was gone that morning, and we haven't spoken about it since. Yes, we really are this awful at communicating. She didn't do anything out of the ordinary that morning. That takes me to today, when I stumbled across the other infidelity post made by this sub, and it brought back all the sentiments and concerns that I've been trying to repress. I had to confess to myself that normal individuals in regular relationships aren't neurotic, suspicious, or concerned with spying on their significant other to assuage their suspicions. I feel bad for constantly invading my wife's privacy over the previous 6 years, even though she's done a lot to deserve it. I had to realize to myself that it was time to make a choice, because if we keep going like this and pretending nothing is wrong, I'll never be happy and will never trust her, even if she never cheats again. So I'm turning to you for guidance. Yes, I realize that 99% of you would have used the emergency eject button after the first attempt, and I probably should have as well. I've remained in this relationship because, except from one significant flaw, we're happy and compatible in every other aspect. The only time we've ever argued was when she cheated on me, and I truly love being around her. We agree on almost everything. I really care about her, and I believe she genuinely cares about me, despite what this full message says. I'm thinking whether it's possible for me to be happy again. I've been asking myself all day whether there is any circumstance in which I could totally trust her again and stop being suspicious, and I keep coming back with I don't know. Maybe restarting the relationship, but forcing her to be upfront about who she's seeing and talking to, although we did that before and failed. I don't want a divorce, but I'm not sure I can ever totally trust her again. I want to quit spying on her since I believe it simply serves to encourage and reinforce my paranoia, but then I'd be stuck being suspicious with no means to reassure myself that nothing is going on. I feel terrible for doing it, but I also feel inexplicably that it's the only way for me to have control over my emotions. When all, she never came straight with me about her adultery and only confessed after I provided the facts. I recognize that there is an inherent difficulty with these sorts of blogs in that you only see my perspective, but I've attempted to be as impartial as possible. I'm conscious that I'm not wholly innocent, and I'm not sure how she has tolerated my conduct for so long. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel for us?